Just about ready to go then. There'll be a green flag at the back to say that we are good to go for round 12 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. A 5-second board is shown. James Dorlin on pole position as the lights go red for the last race of the day. The engine notes rise, the lights go out, it is blast off, and Jake Hill ought to be able to make a good start in the BMW, which he does. Well understand wrap that he should be round the outside of the Toyota, and Jake Hill goes through into the race lead. The BMW with its rear-wheel drive lives up to expectation and leads the way. There was a bit of rough and tumble between the Napa Fords, I think, with Ash Sutton getting crowded out onto the dirt, but Jake Hill leads James Dorlin going up towards the complex. Dorlin gets sideways, but he hangs on to it. That's going to spit him out wide though.
Yeah, good start by Jake Hill. He got that BMW going. I did watch Sutton start, and Ingram did exactly what I thought and pulled straight across in front of him to block him off.
So the cars now then make that run up towards the long right-hander, coming through Goodwood into Village, then Church, then on this opening lap of the race. So you've got there Sutton looking for the inside line against Ingram, 2 wheels over the white line as he tries to shorten the corner. Let's see what he can do coming out the other side as the field files through, heading up Woodham Hill then in a moment for the first time. But Jake Hill has made short work of the opposition. He's got Rowbottom now up into second place, Dorlin third, but Ingram versus Sutton behind. They're together as Senna Proctor has dropped really a long way back on this opening lap, hasn't he?
Yeah, but look, side by side, nearly 3 abreast. We've got Dorlin in on the inside, then we've got Cammish, and then we've got Ingram and Sutton, and across the chicane goes Dorlin. He has no choice.
Here they come then across the line at the end of the opening lap. So Jake Hill leads the way from Dan Rowbottom as a cheeky look at the inside there. That was Dorlin against Cammish, but Cammish hangs on to the place, and Dorlin now loses momentum coming out the other side of the corner. That means that Ingram goes past him. Sutton's going to attack as well, but it's Hill versus Rowbottom. Now remember, in the earlier race they were trading places.
Rowbottom setting up this key manoeuvre that he does coming through the complex. He's got that one absolutely nailed. He forces Hill to defend into the first right-hander, hangs it back through the left, and then fires it up the inside. It's such a cool manoeuvre.
But we saw in the earlier race, of course, after Rowbottom had a moment coming out of Noble, but Jake Hill got the place back, and Jake now sitting in the wheel tracks, trying to fight back, but they're being chased by Cammish as well. Hill's not giving up, is he? He thinks about the inside line going up towards Church. No way through there. Well,
Hill's race pace was very good in the previous race, just couldn't really make progress, but wow, Rowbottom was right on the limit there coming through Church.
So down they come then towards the chicane. Cammish looking a bit more menacing now in third place. Rowbottom the race leader, and there is a 5-second penalty for Dan Lloyd for a false start. So the Restart Racing Hyundai stops the penalty. Here they come out of the chicane then. So new race leader Dan Rowbottom looking for a second victory of the season. Jake Hill goes through in second place. Dan Cammish getting ever more competitive on the back of the BMW, but this is enabling Rowbottom to get away now as Hill has to defend.
Yeah, I wonder if Dan Cammish saw what his teammate did through this complex on the last lap and can tee up the similar manoeuvre. I've actually only really seen Rowbottom pulling that off today. It's a great bit of a karting manoeuvre, and we know Rowbottom's karting prowess is first class. But look, he's getting away while Hill's defending from Cammish.
And Cammish has done the fastest lap of the race, so Dan needs to get through in a hurry here. Behind them, there is the rapidly closing Ingram. Then you've got Sutton. Small gap back to Dorlin 6th, Proctor 7th. 8th on the road is Lloyd ahead of Smiley Rain for 10th. But remember that Dan Lloyd will have that penalty to be applied at the end of the race. Replay of Rowbottom's move.
Yeah, he's forced Hill to defend. Hill then hangs slow round the left-hander to set himself up for the exit, but Rowbottom just carries the speed and slings it up the inside. It's a really nicely thought-out, planned and executed manoeuvre.
So here are the 3 race leaders then. Rowbottom just ahead of Hill. Then you've got Cammish. In fact, he's been caught in turn by Ingram. So Rowbottom's hit the front. Now he's trying to get away. Jake Hill is being monstered by Cammish. Then it's Ingram as to the inside. Cammish has a look, but Jake Hill defends. Here, Rowbottom using the boost maybe to get away. Dan Rowbottom had 4 laps of it. He's got 2 laps left, whereas Hill behind has got 4.
Yeah, Hill's been savvy in saving his. He did have 6 though, so he's already used 2 as well. Oh, Dorlin going slowly, was that a glimpse of?
It was. That was coming over the line. He went past our window very slowly indeed. So James Dorlin's got a big problem. He was last with a problem, and the car's going to pull off, I suspect, coming down the side of Allard. Lap 4 we are on. Sutton now, fast lap of the race. Look at Cammish's car dancing out of Noble. Sutton is on the back of Ingram in the meantime, but Rowbottom is getting away once more. Look, he's building that lead as Jake Hill, who is with more boost at the moment, sitting behind him in second place. In fact, Hill has more boost available than Rowbottom, and so does Cammish in third place. So Dan needs to be careful when and where he uses it.
Yeah, but they've all pushed hard, haven't they, at the start of this race, so it's going to come down to the end. But as you say, Hill's got the most out of anyone, double what Rowbottom's got. Yeah. 4 laps to 2 of boost available.
And we saw Rowbottom's graphic go green coming up to the chicane, so I think he's using it to try to get away. There's Proctor heading a complete Hyundai battle. This is on board with Adam Morgan, whose Hyundai's on the back of Lloyd's Hyundai, on the back of Smiley's Hyundai, on the back of Proctor's Hyundai as they come over the line. Rowbottom leading by 7 tenths ahead of Hill. Rowbottom is down to 1 lap only of boost available here.
Well, he's tried to do what Sutton did in race 2 and build a gap, but he just hasn't got enough pace. He has got a little bit of a lead though, and if Hill goes into defensive mode, that could really help him.
Rowbottom did the absolute best last sector of anybody on the previous lap, and Hill did the absolute best middle. So they're both still quick. This is Sutton's, sorry, not Sutton's view, it's Morgan's view as they come out of the right of Seagrave. Morgan then chasing after the restart Hyundai of Dan Lloyd ahead, and there Sutton goes a little bit wide, gets a wheel onto the dirt coming out of Noble. Lead gap, 7 tenths of a second. James Dorlin looked parking the Toyota. He's tried to limp it back to the pit lane, but to no avail, and that car grinds to a halt.
Ash Sutton with the fastest lap on that last lap of 15.7. He did a 15.2 in race 2, so he can go faster.
Sutton, Lloyd, Patterson all being warned about track limits. This is Cammish now having to think about defending from Ingram for third place rather than attack. But look, Hill's getting closer to Rowbottom again through the chicane. The wheel lifting forward of Cammish is right there ahead of Ingram. Sutton is next up, so Ingram's on the attack, he's on the defence as well. The leaders go by, 7 tenths becomes half a second, and Jake Hill still has 2 more laps of boost available than does Rowbottom. This is building up really nicely.
It certainly is. The gap is splitting between them. Look at Sutton, he's looking a bit more urgent now. Looks at the outside, then cuts back to the inside. Is he going to do a Rowbottom and all the way around the... He's teeing it up, and he's done it. Oh, side by side, they clash. Ingram gets wide on the grass, he'll have to lift off. And he gets back on, but that was side by side racing. You could see that coming, couldn't you, a mile off.
So Ash Sutton, with only 1 lap of boost available, is doing this again on pure pace as more track limit warnings fly. Let's have another look at it. This was on Ingram.
Ingram, you hold the car tight to the left to get a good exit, but if the car behind you just carries the speed and doesn't worry about it, you can get alongside you. I think that was fair.
Hard racing. Right, Hill's on the boost. Cammish is on the boost as they come up the hill then. So towards the chicane. This is the end of lap number 6. Look how much closer Jake Hill has got. Remember, he was ahead of Rowbottom earlier on and lost out. He's trying to regroup and fight back. He's not fallen off the back of the Ford. He's nearly into the back of the Ford through the chicane. Rowbottom, he's under huge pressure now. Yeah,
but he's going to defend like crazy, I'm sure.
So over the line they go. Cammish is still third. Ash Sutton fourth, having done that fastest lap of the race. Ingram down to fifth. Senna Proctor in 6th, ahead of Smiley. Lloyd 8th on the road with a penalty. Morgan 9th and Rainford in 10th place. Gordon Shedden's up to 16th, as you see there. Josh Cook going around the outside. Josh trying to get himself up from 18th, which is where he was when they crossed the line. Dexter Patterson on the inside. Cook is ahead coming into the complex.
Yeah, Patterson's up the inside. I think Cook's had to give him a lot of room there, but should hold the position. Needs a good exit. It's taken some time for Cook to get through these back markers, hasn't he? But he's making progress now. He could do with a safety car, couldn't he? Just to close everything up a bit.
Could a bit, right. So at the moment, Jake Hill, having used a bit more boost, has only 1 more lap available than does Rowbottom. So the battle for the race lead is well and truly joined. Cammish still running third. Then the charging Sutton. That's Adam Morgan going through 9th. He'll be 8th because of the penalty for Dan Lloyd as they throw the cars through Church. You can see Dan Lloyd hanging on to his restart racing Hyundai ahead of the Team Virtue car. Going now up Woodham Hill. Morgan getting closer all the time, looking to try to make that move. He's tried the outside line in previous races. Sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't, and this time doesn't make the move. Slots back in.
Very close. You can see how hard it is from the on-board just to sort of spot the actual limitations of track limits at the chicane. There's nothing to visually show it. So very difficult. And Morgan, oh, off. That is Adam Morgan.
That's at Allard, that's at turn 1. Adam Morgan in the wall. That'll be the safety car Josh Cook needs, surely, to get that out of the way, because it's damaged the barrier, there's a damaged car, and so Adam Morgan is off the road. But how did he get there? That's the next question. Was there contact? Was it a drama on his part? The safety car is deployed as expected, so the race is going to be neutralised.
Well, we saw this on the approach to the chicane, on board with Morgan, and he's got Dan Lloyd in front of him. It looked like they got cleanly through the chicane. Did Morgan then go on the boost and try and get an overlap? This is where we lost the footage before. He's actually not close, is he? Oh, he got a wheel on the grass. He got a wheel on the grass on the left, trying to widen the entry to Allard. That was, I hate to say it, Adam, that was all your own fault. But your eye line is to the left. You watch his wheels on the, there, just as he leans on the left-hand side, he's got the wheels on the grass. But your eye line is looking into the corner. It's not looking to the left at the outside of the track. So a small mistake had big consequences, I'm afraid, for Adam Morgan.
So Adam gets out of the car, furious with himself. That was, again, a big impact. There's not masses of runoff there at Allard, but safety car deployed then. And Paul Ridgway, Dan Rowbottom's engineer near his seat, he'll be on the radio talking to Dan about what's happening, what they need to do. So the safety car will be out for a good couple of laps, I think, as Rowbottom, Hill, Cammish, Sutton, Ingram, Proctor is that top six.
Just evaluating whether that car can be towed or whether it needs the lift. Adam Morgan talking to the marshals, asking what they want him to do. If it can be towed, then he could get back in it and steer it, but looks like they've got the straps around the wheels. He's asking if he could walk across. Right, here we go with the start. Watch Jake Hill. He comes, get a nice launch through. Watch behind, 2 rows behind. Ingram cuts across the front of Ash Sutton to cut him off, but Hill is through into the lead. Then there's a little bit of grassy moment, isn't there? This is on board with Rowbottom. A little bit too much clutch slip. But he gets a better start than Dorlin, but the road is blocked off. He has nowhere to go. And Hill managed to get round the outside. Dorlin is up to speed now and in a clear second. They all go to the inside, which is what you do if you're in the first 2 or 3 cars. Oh, a little touch there from Rowbottom. He was rubbing up the back of Dorlin, which allows Hill to get a bit of a gap.
Right, we'll be back at Thruxton after the break for more drama in this last touring car race of the day. Wiped out at the very end.
After such a brilliant run.
We saw this tree. It was the tallest tree ever. And then we walked and walked. Then we saw a cat. Well, Mom did.
That's quite an adventure, buddy.
Yeah, it kind of was. What do you want to do now?
With II's low flat pension fees, you could retire with more.
Really?
Open an interactive investor personal pension today.
Ladies and gentlemen, Britain hasn't been so great of late because the country hasn't been eating enough Weetabix.
Makes sense. I've been eating croissants.
To whoever's in charge of fixing potholes, VAR, and drivers who park like this, we must say, have you had your Weetabix?
G'day. Hi, it's Harry from Abergavenny.
How's that?
Listen, I forgot my brother-in-law only drinks fancy pants beer. What do I do?
The man wants la-di-da.
Give him a la-di-da-ga.
Pour the amber nectar into an old jam jar.
Tell him it was brewed in an abandoned coal mine.
Call it something obscure.
And he'll be as happy as a dingo with 2 tails.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys.
No worries.
There you go, mate. It's called Voodoo Jazz Hat.
Foster's. Good call. Cataclean 8-in-1 is designed to help your engine perform better. By cleaning the entire fuel and exhaust system, it could help reduce harmful emissions, restore performance, and improve fuel efficiency, helping you get better miles per gallon. No hassle, no tools, just pour and go. Keep your engine running smoothly and efficiently with Cataclean 8-in-1. Trusted by everyday drivers and automotive mechanics. Ask your mechanic for a bottle of Cataclean or pop into your nearest automotive store.
It's a race to the finish.
Oh, so close to pole position.
Well, that racing at Thruxton, and it is Dan Rowbottom in the lead on the restart. This is the restart lap. He's got Jake Hill and Dan Cammish behind him, and big drama for another of the Toyotas. It's Ronan Pearson with the bonnet up.
Yeah, either the pins have come loose or there's been a bit of contact. It's popped the bonnet up on Ronan Pearson's car, so it's been this is his view. Believe me, he can see a little bit out the bottom, the gap below the bottom of the bonnet, but he can't go at race speed, obviously, and will have to go into the pits.
Jake Hill, second place, being warned about track limits. He's had the driving standards flag, so Jake's got to be careful. And look, Rowbottom is getting away then. We're on lap number 11. It is going to be an 18-lap race now because of that safety car period. And here comes Cammish on the attack. All of this is protecting Rowbottom, but Cammish has done it. Round the outside, he goes second. Great move.
That was a brilliant move. Really pulled off with precision. Great driving by Dan Cammish. So hard to break round the outside there into the chicane and not lose control of the car or have contact. That was a lovely move.
So nicely done by Dan Cammish. He's up to second. Now, next target, Dan Rowbottom. And look, Sutton might make this a Napa Racing 1, 2, 3 as they come through the complex. Sutton's closing on Hill. He's taking Ingram with him. Ingram still has an extra lap more boost than anybody else. Look back from Rowbottom's car. Wait for Cammish to make the move.
Cammish goes to the outside. He does brake later, so he's in front now, so has the right to claim the corner. But look, he doesn't run wide at all. He leaves a little bit of room on the inside just for Hill. Oh, Hill's had a slide, and he's hit Sutton,
who goes around and gets off the race line. Others come streaming past. Jake Hill's got going again as well. They've both survived a mighty moment, and again, that could have been so much worse. But Jake Hill and Ash Sutton possibly with damage, certainly with grass in the rads. So this is going to be difficult for both of them, but the fact they're still in the race and didn't wipe out anybody else is quite amazing. This is for the lead, Rowbottom versus Cammish, and look who's up to third. It is now Ingram with still an extra lap's worth of boost.
Well, Ingram must have been, I mean, I hate to say, but he would have been loving that moment, wouldn't he, for Hill and Sutton. They gained 2 places.
Look at Hill, he's dropping back. The temperatures, I think, are going skywards, so Jake Hill's car with bodywork flying is going to end up surely coming into the pit lane. Charles Rainford has pitted anyway, and Jake Hill pits this time, so we've lost Jake Hill from the race. Now, there he is, you can see why.
Yeah, he's got all that grass. Oh, look at it all pouring out the front radiator. But how did he lose it? Comes through Allard, and then through Noble, sorry. Oh, he had Sutton on his outside. Yeah. He actually had Sutton already round the outside. They were both trying to make it through the corner. And we've seen so many times the cars just end up going to the outside of the track. This is on board. Mikey Doble's view, grass and dirt all over the track. How Sutton managed to spin and keep going so quickly, I have no idea.
I mean, so often if a car spins there, it's away off into the barriers, isn't it? But amazing that Ash Sutton could save that. Right, Cammish, second, has run out of boost now. He's used all of his laps. So if he wants to think about winning this race, it has got to be on pure pace. That gives the advantage back to Rowbottom, doesn't it?
Well, it gives the advantage back to Ingram as well with 2 laps. Behind Cammish.
Yeah, but he's also got to make up 1.4 seconds, has Ingram. Let's see what the lap time is, because last time he was slower, but he did have to dodge spinning cars. Over the line goes Rowbottom, over the line goes Cammish. The gap is 0.7 of a second. That time Rowbottom quicker, and Ingram does 16.6. He's not as quick as Rowbottom, but he is fractionally faster than Cammish. First to third is 2 seconds then.
Yeah, and of course this does give Senna Proctor a lovely position. He's in a 4th place, which he'll be super happy with for his first return back. And look, he's got nobody particularly close to him, so well done, Senna.
Chris Smiley is the one doing the chasing. Behind Smiley in 6th, it is Dan Lloyd, but Lloyd's got that penalty, don't forget. Mikey Doble up to 8th, having started 21st. That is a mighty effort by Mikey Doble. Josh Cook is 12th. From 23rd, another great drive, possibly helped by the safety car, and Jake Hill is circulating again, but in 19th.
Yeah, unfortunately for Jake, but I'd love to have seen a replay of the 2 of them coming into that corner just to see what their respective positions were, because we saw it on the exit, but they were clearly trying to make, Ash Sutton was trying to make the place round the outside of Jake Hill.
And he's currently in 7th place, so Ash got away far better than did Jake Hill, but Rowbottom right now is looking secure up front because Cammish can't quite get close enough. The Napa Racing Fords then across the line together with Tom Ingram there in 3rd place. Ingram still has his 2 laps of boost to use, but that lap was a 16.7. He's only creeping closer to the cars ahead. Thurxton now being given the warning flag for track limit offences.
Here's another one. Look, it looks like Hill had a bit of a moment coming out of the complex. Sutton gets well alongside. Hill has got a lack of pace on the way in. Oh, and he touches the rear quarter, even though there was a bit of room, and then they both run out wide. So I think that was 90% Jake Hill's fault, really, wasn't it?
And it all happens ahead of Ingram, who gets through before Sutton spins across the road. The restart Hyundais have to scatter, and Mikey Dolan at the inside as well. But that Sutton didn't hit anything or anybody and carries on, and he's gaining back places. Look at this, is quite remarkable. He's ahead of Dan Lloyd.
Well, I mean, a racing driver is required to put bad things out of his mind very quickly and concentrate on not what's happened, but what you're trying to do. And I mean, Sutton was immediately back on it, wasn't it? He didn't lose his rhythm. He was straight back on it. And I mean, how a racing driver does that is one of the most remarkable things. But they don't do it any better than Sutton. He really is incredible. From the very next corner, he was back into his rhythm.
So that is going to put him into the top 6 once more. He's thinking points, thinking championship all the time. Meanwhile, it's a Napa Racing 1-2. Dan Rowbottom ahead of Dan Cammish. They're going through is Tom Ingram. Now 4th on the road, Senna Proctor ahead of Smiley, and then Sutton up into that top 6 again.
Well, it's been a great drive by Mikey Doble, hasn't it? Because he started on the penultimate row just in front of Josh Cook and has made fantastic progress.
Yeah, and he's going to gain another place because of Dan Lloyd's penalty as well.
Yeah.
So Doble is 8th. He's going to get at least 7th, assuming that there are no dramas. Now look, Ingram is a bit closer to Cammish now. That gap is down to 7/10 of a second. Last time around, Ingram did lap quicker than both Cammish and Rowbottom. Dan Rowbottom, I think, though, is managing this situation now because he's 9/10 up the road as Doble gets onto the back of Lloyd. Remember that these two are not only arguing over a place on the road, they're also arguing over places and points in the Independence Championship.
Yeah, and Ingram has used pure pace to catch Cammish. He hasn't used his boost, but Spencer Aldridge will have told Ingram that Cammish has got no boost left. So he will know he's got 2 laps to attack him. As Doble goes round the outside, can he pull the manoeuvre off? I don't think he's far enough forward. He isn't. Oh, but he still straight lines the chicane just to be safe. But he gained no advantage, so that'll be okay.
So Dan Rowbottom then, with 2 laps to go, leading by now 1 second from Dan Cammish, who's only half a second up on Ingram. A change for second is possible before the end of the race, but while they're squabbling for it, that will help Rowbottom a little bit more, and he's on for a 2nd victory of the season here. Look, there is the Cataclean Napa Racing UK Ford heading on towards Noble. That's the race leader. Total concentration. Seen working hard behind the wheel. Grabs the gear, goes into Goodwood, then onto Village, towards Church next. A rejuvenated Dan Rowbottom this year after a really tough 2024. He's come out fighting, and he's on target, as I say, for the 2nd victory of the season.
Yeah, he's driving better than ever, I think, Dan Rowbottom. We've heard him interviewed during the day, just seeking that better setup in the car. Quick glance in the mirror. If you do it at the same point every lap, you get a good feel for the lap, for the gap, as it's Sutton that's massively under. But look at the boost that advantage the Hyundai gets over Cammish.
Indeed so, for 2nd place. Round the outside goes Ingram then, up into 2nd spot, but he's going to run out of laps to do anything about Rowbottom. Cammish then falls back behind, so Rowbottom leads now from Ingram, and that margin that was 1.7 is up to 2.1 with a lap to go. It's almost game over in terms of any more places gained for Ingram, because the gap is just too great unless there's a problem for the race leading Ford. But it's been a good charge and more points for Tom Ingram. A win earlier on in the day, a win for Ash Sutton, and now seemingly a win for Dan Rowbottom as well. And that would be a 4th of Dan's career. So out of the complex they go. And there you've got Sutton after that amazing save, now up into 5th at the expense of Chris Smiley. And Smiley leads the Independents.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sutton will be relieved to have got good points out of this. Disappointed with the manner in which it's happened, but let's not take anything away from this man, Rowbottom. What a fine drive it's been, absolutely fantastic.
Turns his way through Church then for the last time. And the Napa Racing UK Ford is going to come through for victory then. Another check in the mirror, and Dan thinks, right, I'm nearly there. Home and dry. Down towards the chicane he comes. We've got Josh Cook having just broken into the top 10, by the way. But Dan Rowbottom it is who comes into the chicane as the final race leader, soon to be race winner of the day. He's about to accelerate his way now up towards the timing line. Dan Rowbottom wins at Thruxton. A second win of the season for Dan Rowbottom. Second goes the way of Tom Ingram. Third across the line, Dan Cammish. Senna Proctor is fourth. Ash Sutton is fifth. Sixth to win the Independence is Chris Smiley. And Mikey Doble has just been given a 10-second penalty for track limits. So after all the hard work, Mikey Doble will drop back in the corrected order because they're still pouring over the line. He ends up 14th, Mikey Doble, in a race that could have offered so much more. But Dan Rowbottom it is then, a very happy race winner at the end of the day.